So I've always been a huge basketball fan. I grew up with parents who were teachers, and my dad was a high school basketball coach. So pretty much the early moments of my life were spent inside a school or a gymnasium. As I got older and started playing competitively, I remember my dad coming down on me really, really hard about always making sure I was in the triple threat position. I'm pretty sure there were numerous tears shed in the process because let's face it, every kid knows more than their dad, especially if they're a coach, about how to be successful playing hoops. Now, from those of you that don't know much about basketball, the triple threat position is the only position where you can positively engage down any path you choose to go. Whether you decide to dribble, pass, or shoot, it sets you up for success. It triggers energy and confidence and allows you to create a better overall experience for everybody involved. Now, a few years ago, I decided to pursue a doctorate in leadership studies. And as I was going through the process, I was tasked to read a lot of books and articles and figure out what everything meant in my life. And I kept coming back to this moment with my dad and really starting to think about what is the real-life triple threat position? And more importantly, for me as a teacher, what does that actually mean in education? So I started asking myself questions like, how am I engaging my students every day? What type of experience am I creating on the other side of me? And ultimately, how am I triggering the energy I needed to do this every single day? So, as a doctoral student, I went where every great researcher goes when they have a question, Google. And as I sifted through the millions of articles and tried to figure out what this actually meant, the real-life triple threat position started to become a little bit more clear for me in my life. Figure out how to add value to other people. Utilize that value to build solid relationships. And genuinely build those relationships to ultimately create unbelievable opportunities for those around you. Now, my wife might tell you I think about this stuff often, like I am obsessed. I think about how I can create the most engaging opportunities for my students and absolutely try to do things differently for them every single day. My goal tonight is to tell you about a story that happened to me in my classroom 12 years ago that is pretty much the reason why I'm standing in front of you today. And hopefully get you thinking about what your real-life triple threat position might be and how you're getting the energy you need to get in that position every single day. Because I absolutely believe life is 100% about sincere engagement. I just think we have to figure out how to get in position first to do that. Now, like I mentioned earlier, my parents were both teachers, and I feel extremely blessed that I got to grow up watching them give their lives to engaging students. My mom was the crazy math teacher turned guidance counselor turned back math teacher who every night I would come home from practice and she would be seated at the table with a piece of paper and a pencil, beyond excited for me to pull out my pre-calc homework so that she could help. I think part of her energy triggers were even the sweater and earring combos that she used to rock. She had the craziest ones for all the holidays. Sorry for the pictures, Mom. My dad, on the other hand, was a phys ed teacher. And I remember when I was little, we would go and meet him for bowling Fridays when he took his classes to the lanes that happened to be situated next to the school. And I always was astonished how he engaged with everyone, students, staff, and even the bowling alley management that seemingly became part of our family. He even used to rock these old school, well, they were new school then, Reebok polyester zip-ups. And I remember putting them on and dressing up like a phys ed teacher. There was always this energy that was super present. So when it was time for me to start to consider what my next steps might be, I always knew that I most likely was going to enter into the family business. Now, when I started college and I went through the process, I'll be honest, I switched my content a lot of different times because I didn't really care what I was teaching. I just wanted to go impact some kids. The problem was I had never really thought about what I wanted that experience on the other side of me to be and the energy I would actually need to move forward in that process. So when I started my student teaching experience, I struggled big time. I remember calling my mom almost every day crying. I literally even had a note card on my computer that I would cross off the days just praying I would make it through. And as it got closer to graduation time, I was like, no way, can I do this? So I decided to pursue a graduate degree outside of the field of education. But somehow 2 years later, an opportunity arose for me to have my own classroom. I spent all summer prepping for that opportunity in room 227. I had scaffolded notes on transparencies. I had an overhead projector. I had vis-a-vis markers. I was ready to rock. But again, I didn't know what I wanted that experience on the other side of me to be. Now, I really don't remember much of that first day. It's pretty much a massive blur, except for ninth period. The ninth period, I had a class that was made up of every kid who had ever flunked ninth grade history, some multiple times. For a first-year teacher, you could probably know that was a disaster. They hated me. They didn't believe in me. They didn't trust me. I could not connect with them in any way possible. And 3 weeks later, I had a back injury flare up from college. And I went down to the principal's office and I asked him if I could wear tennis shoes for a little while. After he gave me the approval, he said, hey, man, you just need to make sure that these are clean. So I went home and I pulled out the cleanest pair of shoes that I had. Nike, my mid-1990s Nike Air Max Tempo lows. Still have them in my truck. I walked in that next day, and I didn't really feel any different. Kids didn't really notice until ninth period. When I walked in to ninth period, a hand went up in the back corner. And it was by a kid who had honestly never said an entire word the entire 3 weeks we'd been together. And I honestly didn't even know what to do. So when I called on him, I said, yeah. He was like, Mr. Grant. And the words that came out of his mouth absolutely changed my life forever. He goes, there's some sweet kicks. Where'd you get those things? And I saw the rest of the students nodding and engaged, and I became so energized because they plugged into me for the first time, and I told myself, I will absolutely do anything to add a little value in their lives. And I remember looking down and thinking, like, that's all it's going to take? So I went out that night and bought every stupid color pair of shoes you can imagine. And I've worn them every single day since that time with those kids. And it absolutely has become a symbol for what I want to be as a teacher. Thinking about recreating the way that we do things. Engaging with students in a different way. And those students gave me the energy trigger to pretty much become my pathway for student engagement, my ties and tennies story. Now, for those of you, if you think about your teachers and the other people that you interact with on a daily basis, and you think about there's usually a way that they connect with you every single time. It's how they engaged and created memorable experiences with you. You often remember that more than any content they ever tried to teach you. Now, as you consider this further, I really think it just comes down to clarifying two main elements as you search for your triple threat position. First, and most importantly, you have to define what you want your branded experience on the other side of you to be. Now, you guys probably know what branding is, or you've heard it before, but the word may not have resonated with you. Because people talk about this stuff all the time, organizational branding, personal branding, and I'll be honest, I think they make it way too hard. I have a friend who was also a TEDx speaker last year, Coit Cooper, and he made this statement one time. He said, branding is all about building positive energy. Now think about it from your perspective. If I went to your place of employment, and maybe I go to where you go to church, or I go to your friend group, and I ask them, tell me a little bit about the experience that this person creates on the other side of it. What do they like? There's going to be a conversation that occurs, right? It's describing your consistent branded experience that you create every single day with the actions. The question is, if I go to you and I say, hey man, what do you think the conversation is? If you can't tell me, hey, yeah, this is it, and it's positive, then I have to question, why aren't you figuring out what you want it to be? And absolutely every single day deciding, you know what, I'm going to add value, build relationships, and create opportunities for other people. Now, number two, I think you have to absolutely find ways to trigger your positive energy every single day, because this is the key to finding your triple threat position. I think some people just assume people create energy on their own, but I think the majority of us have to have visual triggers every single day to get it rolling. Now, when I think about this in educational terms, there are two guys that constantly inspire me. One, this is Mr. Dwayne Reed. He's a public school teacher in Chicago, and his love for sincere engagement in music allows him to create these music videos for his students in his classes, like Welcome to the Fourth Grade, which went viral, or the morning song that he sings daily with them to get rolling. You can't help but be inspired and almost like get excited for those fourth graders going into his classroom, wishing you were one of them, or a parent of one that was. Or take Principal Brewer of Fredland Middle School in Virginia, also known as the skateboarding principal, who zooms throughout his district on his boards, spewing more energy than you can even imagine every single interaction. He even gives the boards away to students that add value to the district. He's absolutely changing the game from an experience and engagement standpoint. Now, some of you might be sitting there thinking, well, I don't really know what my branded experience is. I definitely don't sing. There's no way I'm getting on a skateboard. And I really don't have any unique energy triggers other than maybe a massive amount of morning coffee. And honestly, that's okay, because I think these become most visible when we least expect it. The problem is, I think that when you absolutely find these things, you have to amplify the heck out of them. Because every single day, you have to have these visual reminders of what your pathway for positive engagement is all about. Because I truly believe it's hard to help others find their best lives when we lose sight of ours. And here's why I wholeheartedly believe this works. So I'm standing up here with a pair of tennis shoes on that were a surprise gift this summer from a group of students that I was blessed to work with over the last 2 years. These kids were some of the most amazing people I've ever been around. Because absolutely every day, they added more value, built stronger relationships, and created incredible opportunities for one another. They branded their experience together as the Oiler 10. And they literally continue to inspire tons of people. I read a book recently by Matthew Kelly entitled Perfectly Yourself. And there's a piece of it I want to share with you tonight. It says, our greatest strength as human beings is our ability to make a difference in the lives of other people. And yet it is the most unemployed of all human abilities. And here's the thing. I don't think it's unemployed because it's unwanted. I think it's unemployed because most people haven't figured out what they want the experience on the other side of them to be and the energy they are going to utilize to get that rolling. Now, I want to leave you with something that my mom told me that she probably doesn't even remember during that crazy time of student teaching that literally helped me make it through. And I've changed it a little bit to fit tonight for you. She said, Scott, you need to understand that you only get one August 15th, 2018, ever in your life. So you better make sure that it is awesome for you and those around you. My hope tonight is that moving forward, this day and every day from here on out, your energy and experience focus on adding value, building relationships, and creating opportunities with other people. Go be awesome today. Thank you.